everyone, and welcome into the Rochester Press Box. Bill Pucko with you. Happy to be here with the guys. Tariq.
I'm offering a hug to Duffy live here on the show right now because I can understand your pain.
Look, man, listen. It's like Josh Allen said earlier this week. The sun came up. It's okay. I love the Bills. I got 2 kids and a job. I got to worry about that too, you know.
Are we going to lyrics from Annie? The sun will come out
tomorrow.
Oh, my God. This is not where I anticipated this going.
What?
I do like his jersey, though.
I mean, come on.
You know, because we have weeks and weeks and weeks to deal with the future. But what's next for these guys? Like, what's your immediate post-mortem on the Buffalo Bills?
So as we're taping this right now, I don't know what's going on. I know there's been a lot of questions and rumors, and I don't like to go on to rumors because rumors turn out to be nothing, but sometimes rumors do turn out to be real stories. I'm not sure about Sean McDermott, and I don't know what you've heard, Pat, about it, so I'll ask you on it. But you have to look at this moment and think to yourself, can this man actually get this team to a Super Bowl, or does there need to be a new culture implemented to bring this team over the hump?
Well, you're the expert. Answer it. Don't ask it. Answer it.
I think you need somebody new to come in and take this team over the hump. You've not been able to barely make it out of divisional, barely make it out of the AFC Championship game. Now, I know it's better than where you were 10 years ago, but it is not where you want to end up. Every single year, 2 to 3 games away from the Super Bowl.
So I will make 2 points on that statement. First of all, the way that game was coached on Sunday tells me that Sean McDermott is the coach for this team. The only way they had a chance is. He's not getting fired. There's no way the Paculas move on.
I know. They just gave him a new contract. I get that, yeah.
But the only way you were going to beat the Chiefs with the depleted defense that you had was to play ball control. They held the ball for a full quarter more, 15 minutes of game time more than the Chiefs did. They had almost double the amount of plays. They didn't turn the ball over. And when you play a game like that, your margin of error is tiny. The Chiefs made 2 more plays than the Bills did all game long. I can accept losing that game based on the circumstances, but I'll go even further than that. Sean McDermott is the best coach the Bills have ever had. He's statistically the highest winning percentage the Bills have ever had. That loss on Sunday is the least upset I've been about a playoff loss because you just didn't have the horses. And here's how I know that Sean McDermott is the coach for this team. He could have sat in front of that microphone and he could have honestly said, listen, we had to go start a guy that was ready to go on vacation with his family in an RV to Key West, A.J. Klein, who hadn't played a snap all season. And he would have been right. He could have said, look, we had to dress Damar Hamlin and we had to dress Kaiir Elam, and they had saw serious snaps, guys that haven't dressed all year long. They've been inactive, and he would have been right. But he didn't say that. He took it all on himself, right? You caught a bad break in the playoffs this year, and that's fine. As long as you have Josh Allen and the ability to game plan individually for every game, which they do, the Bills are going to be just fine.
I do want to go back to a couple of episodes where we had this discussion. I need Detective Pucko to come in with a possibility because I watched that game and I'm like, they're finally doing it. They're running the ball, like I said. They didn't put all the pressure on Josh Allen. They did every single part of it. They've held on to the ball. They had an opportunity. It just wasn't able to cash in. It was in their house. You're not in KC. Everything lined up the way it was. So the only other opportunity to change the whole dynamic is to find out if there's a curse. That's why I need Detective Pucko, or you change the culture of what you have there. Because it just doesn't seem to add up to the wins. You lose by 13 seconds. You lose by 5 minutes. You lose at home. You lose on the road. Like I have no answers.
Well, Bill, I've been hearing a guy for years talk about the Bills and say, if they ran the ball, they'd be successful. What they need to do is run the ball and close things out, right? 67 yards for James Cook up until the fourth quarter.
Yes.
You know what he finished with? 61. He lost 6 yards in the fourth quarter because they committed to the run to try and close that game out, which I have been yelling for years. When you have Josh Allen, especially in the fourth quarter, you cut him loose and you let him play ball.
You believed in that game they were going to win. You had no doubt in your mind that they were going to win that game. And I did too, which is why I picked them. And they still lost with the ball, control of the football, and a kicker, which we'll get to later on, that, I still thought he would have made that field goal, even though he was in a slump going in.
To the points you guys are making first, I like the fact that you point out that McDermott didn't get up at the podium and defend his position because he doesn't feel he has to.
Sure.
To your point, that makes him pretty secure. And the other thing, in terms of breaking down this game, it's just with all the experts that we have contact with, there wasn't a consensus on what went wrong for the Bills. Well, they ran too much. No, they didn't run enough. They didn't cut that. It was like, what happened? It just I think adjustments by Kansas City, defensively, and I think they're better than we give them credit for on that side of the ball.
I don't think it is, and I think Kansas City beat a team that was limping into that game. There are two
Offensively, though.
There are two statistical things I can point out for you that I think prove my point. The Bills scored 20 points in Kansas City. They scored 24 points at home, which, according to Vegas, is exactly what you should do based on home field advantage. The Chiefs scored 17 in Kansas City. They scored 27. They averaged over 7 yards of play in Buffalo, where they averaged only 5-something against Buffalo and Kansas City. The difference there is your linebacking core playing your 5th and 6th linebacker as opposed to your starter and your 3rd.
I love Vegas, and I'll close it on a positive note. The preseason odds for like next season have already come out.
Yeah.
You know, the Buffalo is the 3rd pick ahead of the Ravens for next year's championship.
That's so weird because I've been hearing all week that their window is completely closed.
This is the Rochester Press Box. We're going to make our picks on the 2 conference championship games next. Just passing through, life lessons from notable Rochesterians, people you may think you know. Don Alhart, Maggie Brooks, John Dady, and Stacy Pension, J Mac and Soccer Sam, Fred Costello, and Jake Zembeck, along with 21 more. How they all got from there to here. It's a new book by Bill Pucko, available for $12 postpaid only from rocksportsnow.com. Try it, and thank you. Our NFL Pick segment in the Rochester Press Box, brought to you by Connors and Ferris, your trusted and dedicated workers' comp attorneys and official sponsor of the Buffalo Bills. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here in the Rochester Press Box. It's time to make our picks. Our picks brought to you by Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys. Greg's here. Greg, you heard the first segment discussion. What's your input?
Yeah, for me, I thought McDermott did a great job coaching at the end of the year. He did what he had to do. The team that he had, that defense, they were just depleted. I think the offense looks good. We just got to get our big-time players, like Stephon Diggs, to make big-time plays, and he didn't. And that's why we're not playing this week.
It's all timing, like the Pittsburgh game just took all those guys off the field. That was just so unfortunate because to that point, they were healthy. And then there's Kansas City, who to that point had been not healthy the whole season.
Yeah.
They all get healthy at once, and these two things collide. Anyway, we got 2 games left, Greg. Which one you want to start with?
Well, I love the underdog. And to me, there's one huge underdog in these last 4 teams, and it's the Detroit Lions.
Cool.
So I got to go with the Detroit Lions. Dan Campbell, you got to love his intensity. You got to love his enthusiasm. You got to love the connection that the Detroit Lions have with Western New York and Ralph Wilson and the Buffalo Bills and Lake Erie.
Those
Let's
are not
go
reasons
Lions.
to pick them.
Let's go Lions.
I like them too. I think 6 weeks ago on the show, I identified the Detroit Lions as being America's team. All right, so you got Detroit.
Listen, Detroit is the blue-collar team everybody would love to see go to the Super Bowl for a chance to win and a chance to win a championship. I think it would be the first time in their franchise.
Yeah, I think they've never been to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, well, I mean, it'd be good to go, and it'd be good to go to win, too. That being said, I mean, I just can't see the 49ers letting this slip in their house. I just have this feeling that the 49ers will show up. Purdy had his bad game, and I think he's through that to the other side. This is what San Francisco has been waiting for. I just think the San Francisco 49ers are going to go to the Super Bowl.
I think Green Bay had the shot last week, the one that was enough to scare San Francisco. I don't see that happening twice. I'm pulling hard for Detroit, but I'm picking San Francisco.
I got statistical, and I have superstitious for you. As we tape this, we don't know if Deebo Samuel's going to go, and even if he goes, he may not totally be healthy. That San Francisco offense is 180 degrees different without Deebo Samuel.
I think they factor that into the number.
Oh, I understand. They also know that San Francisco is a heavy favorite, and they love to take a little bit of sucker money. But, Bill, do you know the last time the Detroit Lions won a road playoff game?
1957?
Do you know who they played, where they were when they did it?
That would probably Cleveland?
San Francisco. Because of that, I don't know if they win this game, but I believe they keep within 7. I'm going to take the Lions to cover.
Was I right with 57?
You were. You nailed it.
My goodness.
You nailed it.
Was he right? Of course he was.
Wasn't it your senior year of high school?
Oh, leave it alone.
What did I say? What?
Can I just add one thing about the Detroit Lions defense? That is a very suspect defense late in the game.
Sure.
So that defense is pretty good to start off. Aaron Glenn's done a great job. I don't see how he is or isn't a candidate for a head coaching job. But that's a discussion for another day. I will say this, though. If that game is close, I do not trust that defense. against the 49ers.
Don't need a win, just need a cover.
I used to hang Bobby Lane. Greg, the second game, which I think, we're all AFC guys here. The second one, Kansas City at Baltimore, 3.5 is the line. How do you see it?
Yeah, I see the Ravens right now. Their defense is much healthier than the Bills, and I think that they're going to be able to match up stronger with Kelsey in the run game with Pacheco. I see the Ravens not only winning this game, but beating them by at least 10.
Whoa. Tariq?
There's going to be an upset this week. I do not want to bet against Lamar Jackson. I will say this, though. If Kansas City goes to the Super Bowl, the NFL will break viewing records all over the place. Taylor Swift in the stands, Usher at halftime, the party everybody loves to go to. So I know the NFL wants Kansas City. We'll see what happens. I don't believe they will win, but I'll pick them anyway.
My son's a conspiracy theorist. He thought the whole Taylor Swift thing, he says it's in the bag for Kansas City. The NFL wants them in. I'm picking the Chiefs getting 3.5.
3 years ago, the Chiefs lost to the Bills in the divisional round, lost to the Bengals in the AFC Championship game. Last year, the Bengals beat the Bills in the divisional round, lost to the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. The Eagles this year were looking great, lost to the Bills season collapse. Same with the Cowboys. What's the lesson we learn here?
That's a lot to absorb.
When the Bills lose a close one to you, your season is destroyed. Because of that, the Ravens, who are also much healthier, as Greg mentioned, blow the Chiefs out this weekend.
Can I just say this?
I'm putting my one-game lead in this picks thing right on the line because I'm against everybody on these things.
And this will be the last one, or are we doing the Super Bowl too? All right, I'll high step into the end zone on that one.
Can that be worth 2 points?
For me and Greg, we're just asking, can that be worth 2 points? We can go from worst to first, Greg, me and you.
Can I get bonus points for being the amateur here?
Yeah, you spent them early, I think. So you got to pick for the flag game?
Oh, don't do that.
I haven't even thought about that. I'm still reeling from the Bills game. This is Wednesday. I'm finally emotionally down where I can think beyond last Sunday. So here we go. Big week this week. I'm pulling for the Lions.
Please tell me people are not really betting on that.
Oh, if there's a line, I'm in on that. I am in all over that.
Oh, absolutely.
Why would you not? Give me the action, baby. Give me the action.
Help us
Thank you,
out.
Greg. Appreciate it. Our pick segment brought to you by Connors and Ferris. Like it or not is next.
Here's the Press Box Trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road.
How about a getaway to an amazing museum about a local aviation pioneer? Mike O'Brien, your getaway guy, you're going to love this winter getaway. Look for the Getaway Guy right now on Facebook.
Here's the Press Box Trivia answer brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Our Like It or Not segment is brought to you by Sport Clips, where the MVP experience is better than ever. Sport Clips is a game changer. No appointments are needed. You can stop by a Rochester location today. Pat, like it or not, what I call the poison pill call in the NFL.
That would be the fumble into the end zone, which results in a touchback for the other team. I love it. It makes perfect sense rule-wise for the NFL. Because if somebody fumbles inside the 3-yard line, look, you cannot be touching out of bounds as a defensive play and recover the ball. That means the possession is retained by the offense. If it goes into the end zone and you recover it, it would be a touchback, but there's going to be a massive scrum. The only way to guarantee fair and equal chance at a fumble recovery is to make the out-of-bounds line in the end zone a defender, a player for the defense. It makes perfect sense, and it is so game-altering. It's wonderful.
To me, it doesn't make sense. But I like it because it's like hitting bankrupt on the Wheel of Fortune. I mean, the punishment is so much worse than the crime.
Well, I can't stand it. I think a team that loses the ball, if the other team doesn't get possession of that football before it goes out of bounds, I think you push that team back to the 25-yard line and go from there with loss of down.
Okay, but wait a minute. Every NFL rule is designed to help the offense succeed. For example, the Bills were bit in the butt by a football maybe grazing off the helmet of a man who fumbled it while his toe was touching out of bounds, even though they clearly recovered it in bounds 60 yards the other way on the field. Why? Why are you not doing everything you can to secure that ball towards the end zone? It makes perfect sense the way they do this.
How much does a Wheel of Fortune reference degrade this show?
I don't know, but I do like the sound. Boom, boom, boom.
And I think it's great. Pat Sajak is such a jerk sometimes that if he were on the sideline explaining to the guy who fumbled the ball out of the end zone, I'd watch that too. Oh, look what you did, stupid. Yeah.
Our Like It or Not segment brought to you by Sport Clips and Unfinished Business is next.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. Come home to McArdle's.
And now to Eichel. He floated one.
Unfinished Business is brought to you by Greg the Roofer. Better roof, better price. Better call Greg today. Save time and money on your roof and siding. Call us today for a free estimate. Special financing's available. Visit us online at gregtheroofer.com.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here in the Rochester Press Box. Unfinished Business brought to you by Greg the Roofer. Nice to have you back. Pat, start us off.
You know, the only negative part about working in media is you get to see the dark side of professional sports. And being around football as much as I have the last 15 years, you start to see a dark side of the NFL. That kind of changed for me this week. Terrel Bernard, linebacker who didn't get to play against the Chiefs due to injury, he was carted off the field in the Steelers game with what looked like a broken ankle. Turns out, in layman's terms, he essentially dislocated it, but wanted to play against the Chiefs. And despite the fact, Brandon Beane tells the story, the general manager earlier this week, that doctors said he's not going to be ready to go. Bernard insisted he would. All week, he was in the pool running on light water-assisted treadmills, trying to get himself ready. And on Saturday, Brandon Beane tells the story about how they worked him out just to show him he wouldn't be able to go. And there were things he could do well, but most of it he couldn't. And despite all that, he still wanted to go. He was ready to play against the Chiefs as a third-year player with his whole career ahead of him on one leg and potentially injure himself worse. And Brandon Beane told the story about how they had to protect himself from himself. And they told him he wasn't going to go. Terrel Bernard burst into tears. And long story short, Brandon Beane said that inspired him, letting him know that the team is going to be just fine moving forward. But it was nice to know, to see a team, and a team that already has this reputation with McDermott and Beane, they protected the player against himself. Because look, Terrel Bernard on one foot may have still been a massive upgrade on A.J. Klein. And that's not a knock to A.J. Klein. He hadn't played all season long, but a team that knew it was putting itself at a massive disadvantage. They thought about the health of their player and the future and the career he could have and the money he could earn for his family instead of one win against a rival that would have changed the idea of the Bills for a very long time. This cynical, burned out football fan feels good, at least for this week.
You talk about feeling good. Have you seen my New York Knicks lately? I don't know. Listen, look, my Giants are done. Mets, hopefully for an upcoming season. But my New York Knicks look like they are ready to make a run in the NBA East. And look what's going on in Milwaukee. Look what's going on in Miami and all the other different teams out there. Could this be the year for my New York Knicks? I don't know. Listen, we're very close to the NBA trade deadline. I know I was kind of shocked, too, it was that quickly. Usually it takes place after the All-Star weekend, but apparently it's going on really soon. So that being said, there might be one more move yet for my New York Knicks. But listen, Brunson, Randall, the team we have, OG, we look good in the NBA East. Let's hold it together.
It's nice you move on so quickly, Tariq. Tyler Bass was just another guy, an NFL kicker largely unknown outside of Western New York, until Sunday, when he missed a 44-yard potential game-tying field goal for the Buffalo Bills in their playoff loss to Kansas City. Wide right, again. The simultaneous screams from all across the state must have been heard at the stadium, which then went instantly silent in collective disbelief, or perhaps reacting to the inevitability of all of it. Reaction was threefold and predictable, with a specific sliver of America's most ignorant responding with online death threats, anonymously, of course, Bass being forced off his social media accounts, and the Bills Mafia responding to the idiots by raising many thousands of dollars for Tyler's pet charity, the 10 Lives Club, providing a safe haven from euthanasia for homeless cats. All for what? It isn't like he stands accused of instigating an insurrection or something. He missed a kick. He missed a kick. But there was Bass alone on the bench as the clock counted down the end to yet another season for the Bills, contemplating how his life had just become something other than his own. It's what Scot Norwood has dealt with for 33 years. He now has company in that particular house of horrors.
Norwood played just 1 year past his infamous all-or-nothing missed kick in the 1991 Super Bowl and never got the chance to make good on it. Maybe Bass gets another opportunity someday. It's the best thing we can hope for. For us, sure, but more importantly, for him. That is our Unfinished Business, brought to you by Greg the Roofer, and that is our show. You know, it just amazes me. The Bills Mafia, for all they look like, they always come through.
Well, it's just the shades of the fans. I mean, you've got guys going through tables, getting caught on fire, shirts off at 21-degree temperatures, and then you got, guys threatening people online and then saving cats.
Look, most of us are handsome, kind, thick-skinned, non-burnable people.
All right. And with that positive take, we'll conclude our program. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week with the Rochester Press Box.
But you are tortured.
Oh, look who's talking about next.